This is the Astrology and Tarot Show with Jessica Adams.
Thanks, Shane. Here is your psychic astrology for the week starting Monday, July 28. Your tarot this week can be decoded at my website. Aries, the Four of Wands. Taurus, the Two of Wands. Gemini, the Ace of Pentacles. Cancer, the Empress. Leo, the Hermit. Virgo, Three of Cups. Libra, the Ace of Swords. Scorpio, the World. Sagittarius, the Four of Pentacles. Capricorn, the Lovers. Aquarius, Temperance. And Pisces, the Ace of Cups. Aries, those unpredictable financial issues like a shared mortgage or property investment, a family inheritance, the tax department, the business that you have with your partner, or the car that you share with your sister are now predictable again, at least until November. So there are two stages here with planning this week. One of them is to plan for a more normal existence until November, but then between November this year and April 2026 to understand that once again, the zigzag will be back on the graph. Part of the reason for this is beyond your control. Obviously, it's your country or it might be world trade, but it does hit you where you live because you are having this cycle known as Uranus in Taurus in the second house of life budgeting. You only get it once in your adult life. You've had this since 2018, Aries, and it began pretty quickly in 2018 in the month of May. Now you get a long break from it. You are in a position to do some planning about 2026 and 2027 and ongoing. This will necessarily involve a house, apartment, block of land, or real estate investment. And your luck is in here because this week, once again, there are clear clues and signs that if you wanted to take the key to this symbolically, you could do so, and in fact would be at an advantage by the middle of 2026. The reason for this is that Jupiter, with all his solutions and opportunities, is in the zodiac sign of Cancer, which for you rules the roof over your head, but it's so much more than that. And yes, this may extend to a general interest in property, business through property, or even Airbnb. However you play it, you have a lot going on there in terms of choices to make, number crunching, and the price tag that you hang on certain situations, places, or people. Taurus. People travel or move to different areas locally, sideways across the map on this cycle, and they wander far and wide to neighbouring places when Jupiter goes through Cancer. And you're experiencing it this week, ongoing to June 2026. If this sounds like you already, then Jupiter brings larger-than-life people, places, and organisations, and it's time to turn the eagle's eye view on them. In fact, Jupiter is associated with the eagle. Wander into any museum and you'll see him there with an eagle by his side. So this is the bigger picture of the smaller area, local or neighbouring places, across the water or sideways across your city. They'll directly involve your trip, perhaps your move, or connections with those at the other end. Jupiter is very much about taking the situation as far as you can while it's there. And the only people who complain about a Jupiter cycle not delivering are those who did not take the opportunity. So Taurus, you have a chance to do that this week. It would build on what was already there. And you may find that the world is your oyster, as though viewed through the telescope around your local area. Jupiter is about expansion. So we could call this your manor, we could call it your neighbourhood, your hood, your village, whatever it is to you, your local county or state. There's something there for you to exploit this week and make more of. Gemini. The North Node in Pisces at the top of your horoscope brings career karma from 18 or 19 years before this week. And if you go back to old email, you'll probably see it. What I mean by karma is that you are owed or you owe the universe, and it is time to pay up or collect with a full-time job or part-time job, unpaid work, academia, or vocation. Alternatively, it may be your boss, your client, staff, colleague, and so on, who generates this sense of everything rotating and revolving for you. Sometimes the issue is instantly recognizable. At other times, it can take a while for you to get it. But understanding what's happening will also allow you to appreciate that nothing can really change for quite a while yet. In fact, the truth is, Gemini, that you won't be out of this cycle until July 2026. So to some extent, you are on a loop. You'll be hearing the same things or watching other people go through the motions of the same things, even though it's your desire to change the agenda. Allowing this to happen is part of the course, and you can change on the inside to alter your reaction to it or your response to it, maybe to use the situation differently so that you don't feel as if you're going round on a wheel. Eventually, this will play itself out, as I've mentioned. And then, for the first time in many years, you are going to have a career path, an academic career, or a vocation in life, a calling, which may not be paid, which for you has no complication, no flashbacks, and no reference to the past all the time. Cancer, you have an unusual triple cycle in Aries, in your zone of career, unpaid work, and academia. You have Saturn, Chiron, and Neptune all at the top of your chart. This almost never happens, and it's complicated. So you would be dealing here with three quite different situations at the same time this week. In one of them, there is an escape from the real world. There are no boundaries, and it may be confused or confusing at times for yourself or other people, rather like a shifting horizon or difficulty in understanding where the tide is actually going to on the sand. It keeps moving all the time. The other transit here is Chiron, which you've had for a while in your career zone, and whether it's at university, as a volunteer, or as a professional, you have been seeing the grand experiment play itself out with the question, can I get away with it? Can we all get away with it? The last part of this is Saturn, and he always brings a waiting game, which you would be well aware of. There is a test of patience here, and there are no shortcuts, as nothing can happen until Saturn unlocks his cycle. So you still have a while to go yet, and this will take you through 2026 too. But ultimately, this is one of those cycles when you do a lot of long-term building. It's almost like constructing a swimming pool or constructing some kind of sea defense on the beach. You can enjoy it later for all that it's worth, but if you want to escape long-term and have the holiday from reality, then you have to roll up your sleeves this week as part of the process. Leo, Uranus in Gemini has definitely landed in your zone of groups and friends. You will see a group goal now that you're excited and enthused by, or others are, maybe liberated or exhilarated. It could be a sports trophy in the offing or a big Hollywood film. It may be a shared charity project, mum's net, or a surprise party for your friend's 30th. It depends on your personal birth chart. It can be great or small, or important only to you, or actually to more than you. But there's something about this transit that is pretty irresistible. You are now going into a completely different phase in your social life long-term and also social media, and you may be aware of that. There are practical reasons for this to happen. The trick with Uranus transits is to give other people as much freedom as you would ask for yourself. Doing that enables you to get through the cycle with the minimum of disruption. There will be questions this week about your independence with a friend or group and the independence of an ally or people in a circle around you. As long as you can be mindful of that, then you will take part in a completely new cycle, which feels a little bit like an electrical storm. Virgo, friends can be made or remade in this Jupiter in Cancer cycle. It's all about being happily human, but with a new spin on a very diverse group, team, band, organisation, circle, and so on. It may be online or in the real world. Hope springs, and this week is your chance to do the smart thing and follow the clues. Another Virgo or a Leo may be involved. If you have anything in your birth chart in Aquarius, then this circle of people or this friendship will transform, but also transform your life, with January and February 2026 showing up on the calendar in astrology as a milestone for you. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. In astronomy, it is a gas giant. It is associated with more and bigger, and so you will have more friends on this cycle and go larger in terms of the number of followers that you have online. It's also about the bigger picture in general. So if you do all share a group goal, which has maybe a global reach or has huge implications for your career or for your beliefs, then it's wise to commit to it again this week, as by June 2026, you could, and you all could, have something that is more than you expect now or even dare to dream of. You can always spot Jupiter when he goes through your 11th house because the people are either physically bigger or taller than usual, or they may just be larger than life characters. That's what Jupiter does. Libra. Well, Uranus in Taurus has gone from your money zone almost forever, and you now have a very different set of numbers to look at. It's more manageable and predictable. All the question marks have subsided for the moment. Your old way of spending, earning, saving, receiving, investing, or managing money, houses, apartments, or business will be left far behind on this cycle eventually, as new possibilities open up once you are at April 2026. At the moment, you're being given a long break from years of zigzags on the graph, which began in 2018. This long break takes you from now through to November this year, when once again life becomes unpredictable. Yet that stops around Easter next year, and then you can actually look forward to enjoying some of the planning that you are making this week about the very long term. We don't actually have anything ongoing in 2026 to get in the way of that. But you do need to think about the long-term future, Libra, because way past into 2030, you have financial cycles that remind you 12 months full planning is never enough, and you actually have to think about the very, very long-term future of, for example, a house or apartment or an income stream. All of this is in the ether this week, and it's a good time to sit down and speculate, but also talk to somebody who is tried, tested, and trusted. Scorpio. Well, Uranus in Gemini in your chart is a freedom signal with joint finance and property. It's commonly about a mortgage and marriage. It can be about shared rent and a de facto partnership, a family trust fund, or a will. It also takes time to adjust and adapt to this cycle because it is so very new. Uranus in astrology is about the predictably unpredictable, and you're going to have this in a small way to begin with, but it will become part of your life after 2026. In fact, by the time you get to 2030, Scorpio, you'll realize that this was the beginning of the most radical change to your finances and your life budget in your adult lifetime. Uranus turns the world upside down, so it's wise to have plans which are highly flexible so that when it zigs out there, you can zigzag with it. Uranus is associated with electrical storms, and over the next few years, there'll be quite a few of those, often the kind that set you free, release you, and liberate you, in the same way that a storm can break up a situation and allow for a new beginning. That's very likely to happen to you in terms of your income, your business, your shares, or your property interests. This week will remind you of that through a chance conversation or what you're seeing out there in the real world. At the moment, there are quite a few numbers of people going through a similar cycle, and everyone is trying to keep up and adapt. For you, the magic word is flexibility. Sagittarius. Pluto in your third house of internet and media, communication and information is about being empowered by new inventions and new technology. If not now, then later on, as the latest thing from Sony or Microsoft, Apple, or the web itself could give you so much more scope to control the written or spoken word. This is a really long-term cycle. It began in a small way in 23 and 24 and is now with you for the next 20 years at least. You will see why when you get to the beginning of next year with a major decision then, perhaps about the computer that you're using, the phone, or bigger fish to fry, like a film script or maybe a course that you intend on taking or teaching. What you're going to see this week is truth that the word is powerful and that language and being articulate with that language is also powerful. Some of you may learn a second language on this very long cycle. In other cases, you may become far more interested in controlling the internet rather than feeling controlled by it. And that may also show up this week, Sagittarius. Capricorn. This triple transit in your home, property, family, and household zone is starting to kick in. In your birth chart, if you have any Cancer factors, then you can double that message. Opportunities to make much more of your home life will come to you with twice the importance. Whatever your birth chart looks like, what you have ongoing is a holiday from reality being offered to you for years into the future. And between now and 2030, you could easily move, maybe even move twice, build, emigrate, make dramatic home improvements, and so on. It's pretty common for people to move near water on this cycle or to install a swimming pool or a spa because Neptune rules all those things. And here you are with Neptune in your home zone. Even if this is just in the daydreaming stage or the pre-planning stage, you still have some very interesting options being given to you over the next 7 days. The only caveat with this is that there is a situation with your extended family circle or your household, which is a waiting game, and there is no easy shortcut here, Capricorn. The only thing to do is to wait and sit it out, but eventually, yes, this will end for you. Aquarius. At last, you get a breather from years of the most unpredictable situations affecting your extended family circle, your household, home, real estate, even your town and country. Your family background or your origins, where you come from, is even part of that, having been shaken more than once by Uranus going through Taurus and your 4th house of origins, security, and belonging. Uranus is actually your ruler, Aquarius, so this feels personal. If you're one of those Aquarians who have Cancer factors in your birth chart, then what is happening has actually loosened the soil for new things to grow in a way that benefits you enormously. And you have major opportunities now and ongoing until June 2026. Whatever your birth chart looks like, you have an interesting time this week where life is predictable again, at least until November. And you may know about that. For example, there may be council building work going on, or a member of the family may be talking about Christmas as a timeline. However it's shaping up for you, in November, once more until April 2026, you yet again have the unpredictable in your life. But this does end around Easter next year. And from that point forward, you are in a position to do some very long-term planning about where you come from, whichever family you are a part of, how you're going to live, and what you're going to do about a particular house or apartment. Pisces, this cycle will bring hopeful new possibilities linked to children, the next generation, babies, the bedroom, or courtship. You don't have Jupiter in Cancer very often, and here he is for the first time in 12 years, accompanied by Venus in Cancer this week. So this is a double cycle. And it's very much about expansion, having more, doing more, and being more to yourself and to other people. You can say no to the opportunity, and this is the kind of cycle when people turn down a date. But according to your astrology chart, that would be unwise, as you at least need to entertain so many impossible things before breakfast. That's a quote from Alice in Wonderland. Pisces is ever after escapism, and your own wonderland is possible on a level that you've not seen for 12 years, no matter if you are raising a son, looking at adoption or fostering, becoming a godparent, starting a new relationship, or going into a more interesting phase in an old relationship. Jupiter in Cancer won't be there for all that long in your life. He's gone from June 2026. But this cycle is well worth taking advantage of in small and big ways. So this week may be a step forward Or for you, it may be a great leap forward depending on your birth chart. Looking at your birth chart, if you have anything there in Leo, then this really has legs and it could take you into 2027 in terms of a younger generation or a relationship. But for the moment, let's just focus on the current 7 days and look at the offer or option that's on the table and why you need to at least look at it. Thanks for listening, and there'll be more next week.